So this is the first conversation in a series of conversations. I don't really know even if to call them conversations, because some of them will be more performative. Some of them, like the conversation with Olaf that we're starting with, is sort of like a virtual studio visit and a mini online retrospective. And Olaf is in his studio in upstate New York, but he's originally from Zurich, and it's important to say, I didn't see if Yael is here because now I'm on speaker view, otherwise I'm too distracted. But I hope that somebody from the Swiss embassy is already here, because I want to thank them for their partnership and for their generosity and for their ongoing dialogue that made this series possible. And I also want to thank Lea Abil, who is here, because Lea invited Olaf to the Art Cube Artist Studios in 2014, I think it was. And it was when she held my position, my current position as the artistic advisor of the Art Cube Artist Studios. And when I came in, I sort of followed the path that she started and continued to develop the the principles and the interests that she kind of set the tone. And I think that we have a lot of interests in common, and that's how Low Res Jerusalem Residency started. And a lot of the people that are part of this series are either residents that came to the program, or people that have similar interests in mind. And in the residency, we invite people to do something that is kind of politically reflexive and participatory in Jerusalem. And in Date with an Artist, I invited artists, Swiss artists and Austrian artists. It's also a collaboration with the Austrian Cultural Forum that deals somehow with either political or social topics, or things that are kind of at the central challenges of our world today. And of course, with the COVID pandemic, we saw that a lot of the challenges that we were already dealing with were kind of like enhanced. So I would like to talk to Olaf about his current works and also about his previous works. And but I will start with maybe just letting Olaf talk a little bit about what he's working on, and where he's sitting right now and what we're seeing in the background. Hi, Olaf. Welcome.
Hi. Hi all. So yeah, I'm upstate New York in my studio. I am here since 5 years. I used to have my studio in New York City for 16 years, and I moved up here with my family, and we have a house in the forest, just surrounded of nature. And I have 2 studios here. One studio is what you see. That's more my office space. And the other studio is my painting studio. And I had to have a specific space for the painting, because painting is messy, and it's another approach than making photographs or drawings. And I always want to paint. I mean, I'm since 25 years doing different kind of artworks. I was always proud that I would use most of the mediums, from sculpture to photography to drawing to whatever you could think. And painting was always something far away. I tried many times to take a brush and stand in front of a canvas, but I would fail just very hard. And then 2 years ago, I started to figure out a way how to conquer that new medium, and I started to make wood block prints. And maybe I show you very quick. I have a painting here. So this is, as you can see, it's all wood blocks printed on a canvas. And now I should have an assistant to do it, because I have to let that go. Quick, 1 second. Hi. So So the wood blocks are like, I get buried by my own paintings. The wood blocks are like these pieces of wood, and I carve a shape in it with a chisel, and then I paint the shape with a brush, and then I print it on the canvas. And so you have, it's a kind of a mix between a print and, but you still have the structure of the paint on the canvas. So it's a mix between printmaking and painting. And the topic of these paintings is more that I use nature to talk about nature. So my thoughts the last few years, I'm concerned, like many of us, about the future of this planet with the global warming. And that's definitely something what I had in my mind when I create these paintings. But the paintings are not really talking directly about it. They just talk about nature and the beauty of nature. And
you told me that it's also maybe about the relationship of humans and nature in a way, right?
yes, I mean, the relationship in the painting of human and nature would be more like my physical involvement as like the creator, the human, like pressing this nature on the canvas. But I have a lot in my photographs or drawing. That's a topic that comes up a lot, like, the human versus nature, technology versus like nature and things like that. But with the paintings, I try to keep it really open and create something what is visually uplifting, but in the same time has a gravity of the idea behind of the worries about how we treat nature. And so this is something I like to do, and I'm really happy I found a way to start really painting and without being in front of a white canvas with the brush. So this is really for me a very good. It needed years to figure out that moment how I can do it, and especially during Corona, I'm very happy I had something I could do myself. And because usually when I do photographs or something like that, I need people, I need humans around me to do things. But the paintings I could do all myself in the studio.
Yeah. So the people disappeared from your works when they disappeared from your life.
Exactly. might come back, but at the moment, as we know, I mean, you guys in Israel are quite far compared with other country. But of course that will come back, but I definitely will keep painting because I do like the process of doing it. So I definitely will do that for the next few years. That doesn't mean that I become a painter. I will still do photographs and all the other mediums. Depends what I want to say about this life and this world I'm living in. And often using a very simple medium as drawing. I need only a pen and a paper, and I can have one thought and illustrate it, and it's understandable for people. Versus painting, where it's more about emotions and colors and undescribable motivations.
I want to show, if you let me, some of your earlier works. And I kind of want to use as a guideline throughout this conversation excerpts from Leah's text. Leah curated your solo exhibition in Haifa Museum in 2014. And one of the things that she wrote, just a sentence to start with, is Breuning's works appear as a visual attack on the visual, a strategy for action in a culture, and reality defined by the media reality. So just to start with, I want to show a few images that I think give a good impression of how you work with groups of people. And I don't know if I should call it participatory or not. We're going to talk about this a little bit more later. But I'm just going to show a few images. You can feel free to talk about them, and then later, or we can just talk when I do the stop share.
Yeah.
And this is actually from your project in the Art Cube Artist Studio. So maybe if you want to say something about that, could be nice.
Yeah, I mean, what I mentioned before to you, I mean, my long hair is something what it's hard to me right now. And anyway, this was interesting. I remember that scene, talking with these gentlemen there. I would think that they would be kind of upset about me, like, abusing that wall with I did with Photoshop. It's written on it. Oh my God. But it was I remember it was a really good conversation, and I figured out they had a lot of humor, and that was for me one thing, because I do believe humor is a very, very important um, vehicle between people, and it doesn't matter where they come from, what they believe, who they are. When humor is there, we understand each other, and that was for me a good moment to prove it.
Yeah, and just to explain to the audience, this is not you at the Wailing Wall. This is an image of the Wailing Wall in the gallery. And these people are visiting in the gallery, so the image is a bit confusing.
Yes. And
I,
just to talk about the work, I mean, that people understand, not knowing the work, there've been these bushes growing out of the wall, and I, with Photoshop, arranged them like it's written, oh my God, with the bushes, as the nature could kind of have a voice and bring that into the wall. So that was a kind of my ironic approach for something very holy, and you know, I always try to push the envelope, I guess, as an artist. That was one of an example.
and you work a lot with groups of people who are often dressed in some way, disguised, or wear mask. And there's often a sense of course, there's humor, but there's also gore and maybe a sense of a threat or potential violence.
Yeah. I mean, this is the nature of my language. It's often described as childish and colorful and funny, but there is an underlayer of always a little bit something more dark and maybe disturbing. What I like to play with is it draws you in quick, but then when you're there, then you realize there's something weird going on. Yeah, that's horror in the studio.
um, before this, I want to read a little bit more from the text. Um, so um, Leah writes about the tourist gaze in your work, and I'm going to show these few images in a minute, and also a short, like 4-minute clip from your work from your video home too. But I want to read this first. According to the sociologist John Ury, who wrote the book The Tourist Gaze, modern tourism is as much of a status symbol as a car or an apartment. When on vacation, Uri argues, we observe our surroundings with curiosity, yet our gaze is far from an innocent, naive gaze, which is intentionally produced in Breuning's work. Rather, it is shaped by the economic system that governs our world. The same gaze controls the production of tourist sites and includes the use of visual artifacts such as photographs and souvenirs. Our expectations and fantasies, which serve as the basis for contemporary tourism, are in fact constructed by the media. One of the important points made in Uri's book, which is similarly given expression in Breuning's work, is the interesting parallel between tourism and deviance. Uri writes that people travel to observe objects and signs that are considered unique to other cultures or the unfamiliar aspects of everyday life. He argues that while tourism may appear banal, it centers on bizarre and idiosyncratic social practices which happen to be defined as deviant in some societies, but not necessarily in others. If we thus look, as Breuning enables us to, at the way in which a given society structures the tourist gaze, we may discover what is considered to be normal in this society. Um, so I lost the presentation, sorry. So I think in many of your earlier works, there's you can say that maybe you deal a lot with the sort of, let's say, the white male colonialist gaze. So maybe this is something that you can see in these several images, which are actually from quite early works. This is from 1999, and this is from 2001. This is Brian from the film, right? I just realized that in the middle.
Yeah.
And the Easter bunnies, and I will show you this short clip from the film, and then we can talk about it. Sorry, logistics. Ah, sorry. Okay. You're seeing it, right?
Yeah.
God damn it, that's nice. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back home. I feel so at home on this orange clay. My orange hair, my orange shirt, next to Tao, the orange dog. I feel like I could just melt into the earth here. It feels like home. Just melting into orange. The world looks even more beautiful through a glass of white wine. And a view like this, and the sound of the crickets, and the trees, and the smell of the flowers, it makes you start to think deep thoughts like, why am I here? I also wonder how many books those trees could make if they were cut down. That's a whole library. That's a library. All the world's literature could be written on what you're looking at there. That's the foundation. Ouch! Nature's overrated. Every time you start to think something important, you get stung by a bee or a mosquito, or you're itchy or you're hot. Look, how am I supposed to think anything important with a welt this size on my thigh? And also, I can't think straight when I've got people talking behind me like this. I need silence. If these people could just give me some peace, and if the bees in nature could just go away. Other than that,
you can't use the same photograph.
everything's fine. You been on the plane? Here's my last chance to see the locals dressed up. Oh, here they come. This is the final performance. It's Sing Sing. They're gonna be wearing bright colored feathers and loud, bright outfits with their face painted like an Appenzell, with the yellow pants and the red vests, with the sheep and the cows and the men in their outfits. Look, the yellow pants and the red vest and the black hat and the black smoke coming out of the black pipes. But it's these houses in the mountains. Look, this house here, this one. I know this house is out there, and I'm gonna go find it. That's what I'm looking for. Look at those yellow pants. The yellow pants. Why are you wearing yellow pants? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You. Hello.
So this segment goes from Papua New Guinea to Switzerland. The transition is very beautiful, by the way. And I have a few questions. A, would you say that Brian is sort of like your alter ego? And B, it looks like you're kind of and you, Brian, the protagonist, is participating very enthusiastically in the rituals of these cultures. So it's kind of like an inverse mirror of participatory art. So instead of like asking the locals to participate in something that the artist conjures, he kind of participates in the rituals. But of course in a way that makes them look ridiculous, whether they're in New York or Switzerland or Papua New Guinea. And there's also a lot of taboos that you break. This is kind of a delicate segment, but there's a lot of like insults on the Western taste and taboos. So maybe you want to say something about that.
Okay. Alter ego. Yes, I mean, Brian is a very good friend of mine, and we spent several years each Friday we would meet and have dinner together in the city. And so he's really a close friend. And I want to do these movies, Home 1, Home 2, and Home 3. And I remember I told him I look for a main actor, and he said, oh, I can do it, but he had never any experience of acting before. And we made some test shots, and it was clear for me the moment that he, first of all, had a talent, and second, we've been so close that I knew wherever we go, whatever we do, it will be just perfect as a work situation. So we shot Home 1. Home 1 was about a character who could not anymore make a difference between reality and fiction. That was also shot in all over the world already. And then the Home 2 was that character you just saw a small clip, was a Western guy, yes, a white male who goes out in this world and just kind of confronts that world very naively. Like, but this is metaphorical for me, more like, you know, as a human, we have such a limited point of view. The world is hyper complex, and just to understand the world, it's really difficult with one human brain. And that character just showed it in wherever he went. He would just embarrass himself, embarrass other people around him. And also to say that that was in a time where there have been series out on HBO like Curb Your Enthusiasm, or you know, there was just a time where also in the broader media and in the film world, people tried to push envelopes to be unpolite. Today, I could not do a movie like Home 2 anymore. Today, it's another time. We are hyper sensitive now of not crossing any border or do something wrong.
I was actually thinking of Borat after I saw Home 3.
Borat, yes, of course. Borat. And you know, the funny thing is also, Borat, and another series came out called The Idiot Abroad, with that English superstar comedian from The Office, forgot his name. But yeah, that's many of these kind of series, and often today, watching Home 2 especially, living in the world today, I feel myself a little bit uncomfortable, and I probably also understand that that film at the moment is not necessarily shown somewhere because it's a lot of questionable scenes in there.
Actually, between Home 2 and Home 3, there's already a difference. I'll show a segment of Home 3 in a second, but Home 3 is in New York. So
Yeah.
already this like embarrassing, harassing gaze is pointed towards New Yorkers, which are Westerners rather than, you know, Papua New Guinea and Tokyo. So it's a bit different because it's a different kind of other to this like tourist gaze. And I was also thinking about an article that I read by Michael Marder in the New York Times, which is called "The Corona is Us" or "The Coronavirus is Us," something like this. And he writes how it's kind of like, I'm simplifying it, yes, but kind of like the corona is a punishment for over tourism and greedy tourism and closing the borders for a certain kind of people while opening them to other kind of people, and how the corona doesn't really make a difference between people when it attacks, and it kind of made the world close its borders to tourism completely. But on the other side, the corona is also the crown, so it's governmentality, and and it's kind of like implying that maybe governments shouldn't be so jealous about their borders. I know, just a thought.
Yeah. Um,
But I want to show you a few more works and a segment from Home 3, which I think are kind of like all flirting with the same subject, which is something that I'm personally interested in. And it's kind of like your relationship with the concept of political art, which I think is very interesting. So I will show it and then we can talk about it. No, I have to open this again. Sorry that I'm mumbling to myself while sharing the screen. So if you want to talk about any of the images, feel free.
um, yeah, I mean, here in this case, I remember that was in Spain, and I had an assistant, and he was not really speaking very well English, and I told him, spray on the wall, we only move when something changes, and of course he made a mistake. And but I kind of I liked it, and the idea in this photograph is definitely that's something that stands for today too. I mean, we want to have changes, we really want to have changes, but that the kind of moment that we also realize that it's just, you know, like very difficult, and they have all clown noses on, so you know, in a way that it's very difficult to make a change, and this kind of like tragedy as humans we are in, we really want to make it better, but we kind of stuck in that situation that we can just not really move.
Yeah, so it's kind of like ironic we can't change thing because we only move when
I mean,
something is already changed.
I hope we can change things, especially now, of course. And I think also like looking at the last 100 years, I guess, or at least 60 years, there have been some progress, but yeah.
And this looks like a coronavirus, if you ask me, and it's from 2005.
I had no idea about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and this? Can
Can
someone tell us why we're here?
Yeah, this is um, well, yeah, I mean the human again, like as a kind of the same kind, like this robot like creature sitting captured in this situation, and asking yourself why I'm here, what is the reason of all of it. You know, the thing what I feel say, I mean, first of all, it's a work from 2006, and I'm unfortunately someone who forgets the past very a little bit, so I don't know my original thoughts exactly, but that doesn't matter because my work is often like this. I try to create something that just opens up questions, and these questions can be answered, can be answered like in many different ways. Whoever watches the photograph can have different interpretation of it.
Yeah. And just, you know, to give people just the behind the scene of the talk, you basically let me choose whatever I want, which is really nice of you. And your website is full of images. So if people want to learn more, they can go to the website and just, you know, take their pick and see a lot more images, because this is just a very small selection of what is there. So this, I tried to kind of like arrange them chronologically. the Guernica. Yeah, if you want to, I mean, feel free to say something.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it's the Picasso Guernica, and then just the character in the middle smiling. Yeah.
It also shows the range of your mediums, which is really...
Yeah. The pessimists, that's actually the garbage station up here where I live. But a Photoshop work. Yeah. There's not much to say. One of these days.
Well, they kind of speak for themselves, which is nice. But if you want to add something.
Yeah. I think so.
And we are all in the same boat. And I will show a short clip. It's actually the beginning of, the beginning of Home 3, the first few minutes. Sorry.
Sometimes I just need to throw myself on things that I love. I am here demonstrating for the people. The 99% against the 1%, showing my support here and now. The problem is, I don't know if I'm the 1% or the 99%. I was never any good at math. I just can never remember. Am I the 1% or the 99%? Things are really heating up here. I don't know why I'm here, but I just met Fidel Castro. Fidel, El Fidelo. Disculpe, habla español? That was such a disappointment I couldn't make contact with Fidel. Why doesn't he speak Spanish? Excuse me, I am so sorry to interrupt you again. I just need to tell you what a huge admirer I am of you and everything you've done down there. I don't care what anybody in this country said. It's brilliant. Can I shake your hand? It's brilliant. I don't care what anybody says. I'm just a huge fan. Would you mind if I had my photo taken with you? Thank you so much. Godspeed. I know it, man.
It's still in the background. Okay. So this is from 2012, and of course you can see that because it's the 99% demonstrations. And another thing that I found interesting that that Leah wrote was she discussed how your work stands in this discussion between participatory art and political art and ethnographic art. And on one hand, there's this criticism on the ethnographic gaze of, someone who, like in documentary film, the fly on the wall, you come and you document these cultures. And on the other hand, there's the artist that tries to intervene or tries to change the world or, tries to do something that involves activism. And there's also, of course, Claire Bishop, who says that, good political art is the one that is more controversial, that makes you uncomfortable. And you have been compared in the past to artists like Renzo Martins or Santiago Sierra. And I know that you're doing things that are different now, but I'm still curious how you would kind of place yourself in this discussion. Like, would you do you feel that you do in some way call for action, or is it more of an ironic gaze on activism and the role that artists take in it, or something in between?
I think it depends. There are many approaches in my case. Sometimes I'm really upset about things around me, like let's say politically, and I would transform it into art. I would make a drawing about something what expresses kind of straightforward my thoughts. And then again, with other mediums like film, I try to be more a kind of. I think really that is I was never in general interested as an artist to do an art piece what goes like a one-way street just to give a meaning or like a conclusion. I always try to do something where you could see this and that and maybe direct it a little bit. And that scene you saw in Home 3, you can look at it from many different perspectives, and I think I would never, I think I would never make political art just for the political reason. Then I would want to be a politician, or I would do it differently. I think art for me has to have something what draws you in and what gives you different ways to approach a discussion or approach anything. And I think this is a big quality of art. And on top of it, for me, visually, it has to be attractive. That's something really also important for me.
The aesthetics are very important in these works. Like you literally talk about them a lot. I wear this orange, I wear this yellow. It looks
Yeah.
like they're kind of a protagonist by itself, the colors and the.
Yeah, but definitely, as I said, I never want to. I think as an artist, I never want to give a message and just tell you have to think this about that. Even now, the global warming with the new paintings, what is something I really care about. But looking at the paintings, they look friendly, and you see big raindrops. It's a metaphorical sign for big rain coming down. You find other ways if you want to see the gravity of like my worries behind it, but otherwise I think I never want to come across as an artist to put something in front of someone's face and say you have to think this, that's definitely, and in that way I would say I'm not really a political motivated artist.
Mm-hmm.
And but I mean what one thing I'm always interested in all my my art I'm doing is it's really that simple, and that's a very selfish reason, is me in this life, in this world surrounding me. And my life goes through a transformation from I'm not anymore 22, I'm 50 now. I see the world different than I saw it 10 years ago. So my biological change, just very simply with different perspectives on life itself. This is one curve that goes through my work, and then the other one is the crazy ass world out there, changing and observing and try to digest this world and bring it out in my art. And I think more I cannot do as an artist. I think this just, I know there are other artists around, they know maybe they have a mission, they want to say something very precise, but
Yeah.
not in my case.
But I think that, just sometimes just by this very use of awkward humor or, dry humor, there's a certain form of criticism which is not didactic. Of course, you're not telling the viewer what to think, but you're making him or her cringe a little bit, and you're making them think about what they're seeing. And there is this tension between, I think maybe in Home 3, it's maybe it's just me, but I felt something a bit more softer. Like in this naive look, there's something very harsh in Home 2, and in Home 3, I don't know if it's the location or the attitude. There's something a bit softer. Um, Still very critical, still awkward, still blunt sometimes, but in a way, it feels like he honestly, like, really tries to experience these weird New York rituals. I mean, there's already some sort of transformation there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, New York is a crazy place to begin with, and I remember the motivation to do this movie was just also an homage to New York. I loved that city and still love it.
Did you already live there in 2012?
I moved to 2000.
Ah, okay. So
Yeah,
yes.
so I've been in the city and yeah, I mean, all these movies are, but I think that's the thing. I mean, I do complain. I do complain about things in my work. You know, I look in this world and something upset me and I put it into my work. Something I feel is unright and I want to take it in my work, but just a little bit feathered down, a little bit more on a pillow of a kind of creativity or like, yeah. And I think these movies are a good example of this. They're not silent, they're loud.
Mm-hmm.
But in what direction, I don't know. Or, you know.
So maybe it's a good time to take questions from our audience. If I'm going to put everybody on gallery view again. Does anybody want to ask something? Lea?
I was going to.
Our honor guest.
You don't
Not
have.
awkward at all.
Awkward is us. This is what we do.
No, you started to talk about this change in kind of your lifestyle and then your outlook, and I wanted to ask about the last few years because we haven't been in touch. I don't know what was going on, and I see the paintings and I try to follow up, but I don't want to ask, you know, the obvious question of how did the corona affect the COVID affected your life, but even before that, I'm guessing like home is really home now, and so what's going on? Like, what's up? That's my question.
Thank you for asking. I don't know myself, but you know, of course, speaking of my biological curve, I mean, I became father 3 years ago. What is a big change in life for all the people who have kids here? They know. The rest has no idea. So that changed life incredibly, and along came Corona. But for me, actually, was not that bad because up here we've been quite isolated and away from things, and on top of it, I kind of had like the last year kind of a sabbatical. I did not have to travel. I never traveled because usually I travel a lot, and I really enjoyed it, and I've been really happy to be just here with my family, my daughter, and reflect about things, and also reflect how the future will look like, because the time changed with, especially here in the United States. We had so many discussions in the last year. That's incredible. I mean, mentally, I went to a lot of thinking, and I'm just also curious what will follow up from after that Corona time, how the art world will be different, how my world will be different. And so this is actually, in a silver lining, a kind of exciting that out of that came something. I mean, especially with the paintings now, I think I would never be here painting when Corona wouldn't happen. So
yeah,
but in the same time, also worried a little. I think the art world will change.
maybe it needs to change.
Maybe it needs a change, right? Yes. I just, in my case, I'm just sometimes worried because that's the only skill I have. So
Sure, I know that.
I don't know what I would do otherwise. But definitely the art, my art world last year was quite quiet compared with all the other years before.
Yeah.
And but
can I ask another one?
yeah.
Maayan is like, I don't know, because you said you don't like to talk about the past much, but I was just wondering, like after the new pieces that you made in Jerusalem, I know that you showed them after in several places, right? The Wailing Wall and the emoji one. Did you show the Wailing Wall one as well?
I don't think I showed that anywhere.
No.
I think the emoji, I think I showed in a few museums. Yeah.
And it became like a natural part of your work, right? Like,
yes,
did it get any specific responses or?
Well, the emoji one was, of course, the people liked it because it still was in a time where like, you know, all the people
was new. Yeah.
And there was connection to it. And I think until today, I think it was just shown in Germany somewhere. But yeah, I mean, this is like, you know, this is what happened. I mean, I create works and it becomes a part of my family. And
right.
And if you guys have a very boring Sunday afternoon and it's raining, go to my page, because I just worked on my homepage, and I'm happy I managed now to do it, that really all my work comes up. So on my front page, all my work comes, you know, and this makes,
so you don't have to go through doors.
Right, and you, right, yes, no, not anymore. That's you know, just I like to see all together drawings, photographs, films, all like mixed, and like my garden I maintain, and what I did in Israel, these 2 photographs, that was definitely a part of it. And yeah, I have very good memories
Good, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Good to hear that.
So,
by the way, we have some of our guests are going to be the stars of our next event. I see Ramesh Daha, who is going to be talking to us on the 21st, and Martin Kren and Andrea Hobin, who will also join us later on. So anybody else have questions?
Actually,
I have a question.
Ramesh and Danielle.
Okay. I really enjoyed your work, by the way. I would like to see much more. I mean, I knew quite a lot of, as you also say, you're not like the political artist. I think your work really reflects so brilliant on our society and like this 99% movement in New York. And it's just, I think it's super important and necessary for us also to react in a very authentic way what you're doing. I mean, this is how I realize your work, and the humor, of course. I mean, the humor makes me so happy. It's like my own art is so dry and so extremely dry. Like, my God, I'm just looking for someone like you to make me happy. You know, I do like my own work, like, oh my God, it's like more archives and more archives. And I don't want to, I'm so addicted to archives, but you're so free. You're just free, and I love it. So this is something I just wanted to tell you.
Thank you. But you know that the grass is always green on the other side. Of course, I look at artists like you and I think, oh, could I be more focused on just something, you know, yeah, obviously we have characters, we are people, and we try to, in my case, and I hope that's for you the same. I think we artists try to be honest to ourselves, and as you look in this world and transform it in your work, so I. And in my case, I was always attracted to the popular world. I always was, when I started to do art, I was always like curious why it is that art is very reserved in itself, and I was always very open to the, you know, in my time I started MTV or all these things. I was interested, and yeah, I mean that's different. And a lot of artists like you, probably you have another path. You have
No,
more.
we're the same age. We're totally the same. I also loved MTV and I did the same
I
thing.
know, but this is interesting. I mean, you know, how we transform it in our works
Exactly. Yeah.
is as true for you. It is as true for me. To the end of the day, look what you're doing and say, that's really what I want to say. And that's the beauty in art. So many at the moment. I mean, I think at the moment even more than before. You know, when I started 20 years ago, it was, you can still say it was like Western white male dominated like stream coming, or and today, I mean, it opened up the last 10 years, incredible. I mean,
Exactly.
it could drive you nuts too, because it's just the gates are so open that all is possible. There's no common borders anymore to like say this is not acceptable and this is, you know, brilliant. But in the same time, I think it's for me always very refreshing to see so many people have different point of views and reflected in art, and I think that's very good.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you for the compliment, by the way. Thanks.
And Yael wanted to ask something. Yael actually is a great artist who also uses a lot of humor in her art. Now I embarrassed her, and now she can ask her question.
Hi. First of all, thank you. It was super interesting to hear you speak after I've seen much of your work, but I've never met you. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you see the area that's in between fiction and I guess a document in your work, the way that the photographs, that your photographs, because in some of your work, you create these situations that are, you know, that actually happen, and then you take a photograph where the film is mostly, I guess it speaks more in the language of fiction, and then the installations have this, you know, the object of like a true fiction, like you really the sculptures when you see them at some moment. And I wonder where it is for you, like when you think of your work. If that was clear as a question, I'm not sure, but.
I don't know, you slurred your, I don't know if it's your connection or mine, but I didn't, it kind of slurred.
The last sentence got cut off, I think, for everybody. So maybe you
Okay.
can repeat it,
Yeah, sorry. I guess simply to put it mostly like for you, where is the work in between fiction, like complete fiction, and a document of the situation that you've actually created? Where do you situate those images that you create?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to begin with, I mean, what is reality? And I mean, how do we see reality? We see it like 7 billion times different on that planet, to start there. And then what I see, the fiction, I try to create is more, I try to create something that I feel people can understand in a very simple way, and transforms them in a fictional world a little bit, what also like gives them like a kind of something mystical, like, or something that draws you in. So I try to create a fiction, of course. If it's a fiction with colors, or if it's a fiction with stories or something, I definitely try to bring people out of the reality there is into like an artistic world of my own language, where people feel the kind of that there's an author behind, someone want to tell a story. So because I think this is the only way to talk about the world.
But is there a behind? And for you, is there a behind the scene, like in the, let's say with the photographs, like the setup when you make that work, like there is a behind the scene situation that we don't
Oh
as
yeah.
an audience, or is it all really happening like for you?
No, of course. I mean, that's the behind the scene. I mean, very simply now to talk about the structure, how work works. Then in my case, I have an end product what says something, but then of course the behind the scene, the way how I got there is often, I guess, for myself more interesting than the end product. As I said, for example, when I worked with Leah in last time in Israel, I remember this time with the students, what was like in order to make the work, what was the behind the scene, and then the flat work is the end product. There are many other
But
examples.
also the Wailing Wall image, it's of course Photoshop, but it's every bush is photographed.
Yeah.
Like it is, they are bushes from the Wailing Wall that the students went out and took pictures of. So
Yeah.
it's not like this kind of meticulous and like true to nature thing is there.
Yes. And you know, this is now the simple. We saw the photograph of the Easter bunnies of Easter Island with the ears before. I mean, this was a whole operation to do it, you know, to fly there, to organize it, to get to that point, to do that one photograph. So I think a lot in my work, there's a lot about, especially with the photographs, there's a lot of human interaction behind. What I also really liked, and most of the cases, it was a celebratory moment. So I had always fun doing the work. It's always fun to do stuff with people, and you know, and I think, and if you guys again don't know what to do with your time, on my page there's a section called texts, and they're all texts written by the main actor of the film. So there are a lot of behind stories of our journeys, and like crazy funny small stories. And
Wait, they're real? The stories are real?
yeah, I mean, yeah, more or less.
I thought they were fiction. I read them, part of them.
Part of them, most of them are real. Of course, he tried to make me bad looking all the time, like as if I would be an bad person. But maybe I was in his. No, I don't think so. We are still good friends. But yeah, I know that is definitely a transformation. With the paintings, it's fun to do them, but you know, it's a studio with paintbrushes. I listen to loud music. It's not the same like making a movie or like doing something else. But
So you're missing the movies a little bit and the people?
well, I don't know, not at the moment. I'm still very happy to. Maybe that has more to do with my daughter. You know, when you have a small kid, it's kind of hard to always leave and go. And my life before was always like traveling, and I quite enjoy to be home with her, and that we as a family, especially she's 3 years old, so that we have like that rhythm. And but I guess in future I will. But then again, Corona gave us that time to relax and to think and to realize. My question now: would I really fly just somewhere for one small thing? Probably not anymore. So also I think there will be changes in future how I do my art, and maybe talks now. I mean, Zoom we all like and hate and love it. But I remember in early days I would fly for a talk to Vienna. I probably wouldn't do it anymore. Zoom is existing, and maybe not the same. It's never the same as like a human interaction, of course, but you know, I feel there will be changes coming.
Yeah, I feel that I have mixed feelings about these trips. Like on one hand, I kind of long to travel again, but on the other hand, I don't. Like I don't want to. So it's a
Right.
very strange. Yeah, I really identify. Even just driving 3 hours to teach seems weird now. So definitely flying is very weird.
We can buy a Tesla.
And then it will explode and burn for 5 hours. Never mind. Any more questions? Okay, so Olaf, thank you very, very much for talking to us. It was a pleasure.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening, and I hope I end up in Israel in one point. That I would really like to.
We should,
Yeah, we should. Yeah, when we start flying again.
Exactly.
But then, we have. Yeah, we have to have a really good reason though. So you will get motivated to come.
That's right. I remember that before I go, there was a very good restaurant in Jerusalem. I don't know if it's still existing. Forgot the name. God damn it. I went each night. I often think about that restaurant, so that definitely, hopefully, when I come back, is better will be there.
Which one was it? I'm curious.
It had a very, I think, also an outdoor space. They had a small outdoor bar.
Chakra?
Sounds really familiar.
Chakra? I don't know. Maybe.
Amos knows all of them. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. We'll do it later by email.
It's not important for you guys. I'm sorry. Okay.
But the good restaurants in Jerusalem are still running. So it's everything.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah.
And see you soon, virtually, physically, whatever comes first.
Perfect. Okay. Have a good evening, all.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Do we stay on, Maayan, or?
We could, yeah, a few minutes.
Bye, quick. Yeah.
People are saying good things in the chat. I don't know if you're seeing it.
Yeah, it's always difficult, to know. I think.
Yael, are you there? Yael Weiler. I see iPhone von Yael, but okay.
It's me.
Hi.
Hi, Olaf. And
Hi.
I thank you so much. I was just writing a chat in the chat, but I wanted to say thank you, Olaf. Thank you, Maayan. It was such a pleasure to listen to you. Yeah. And I really also hope, Olaf, that you will visit us again. I had such a great time meeting you, and I still, look always with my daughter to your images with the potatoes and everything with the faces. I love those pictures with those faces. You find everywhere faces in trees, wood, everywhere. Right. I love this so much. So I continue to follow your art, which I really love so much. And waiting to meet you soon in Jerusalem at this bar and at the artist studio.
Yeah, that bar, that restaurant. I mean, you guys probably know it. It's really a charming restaurant. You come in to an entry, and then on the left side is a bar, and the restaurant is all young cooks.
It's Chakra. It's on the Independence Garden. It's on a park.
Amos, weren't you a bartender there at some point?
Yes, I was.
Amos was a bartender there.
All like young people work there, like cooked and behind the bar. It was a really good place.
Yeah.
Good energy. Very good energy.
Yes. So thank you so much. I will leave you and hope to see you soon in Jerusalem.
Thank you, Yael.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Okay. Good.
I think
We're
if
not
people
live on Facebook anymore, so
I think if people stayed on, they're like, does it mean that they're not actually listening to us? Are they doing something else?
No, Karin is here. And Edna Shulov is the mother of Lihi. She always listens. It's she's a very good. But thank you very much, Olaf and Maayan.
No problem.
It was a pleasure. Really nice to meet you, and maybe we'll sit on the Chakra.
Yeah, and you